First up on our Focus at 4, we're checking in with the campaign. There are new poll numbers after the first Democratic presidential debate that could disappoint the frontrunner and possibly place even more pressure, as if he didn't have enough already, on Vice President Joe Biden to make up his mind about whether he's getting into the race or not.
Now, on the Republican side, a nasty dust-up has erupted between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush. Craig Boswell has more from Washington.
Just days after the first Democratic presidential debate, a new poll shows a slight uptick for Hillary Clinton. Clinton gained 6 points over the last month in the Monmouth University poll. Bernie Sanders is up 1 to 21%. Joe Biden has 17% and has not yet indicated if he'll join the race. Clinton is the overwhelming favorite when Biden is taken out of the mix.
Biden sources tell CBS News the vice president feels he's earned the right to take his time, but there are filing deadlines next month the vice president must make to get his name on some state ballots.
On the Republican side, Donald Trump and Jeb Bush are escalating a feud over President Bush and the 9/11 attacks.
I'm not blaming anybody, but the World Trade Center came down. So when he said we were safe, that's not safe. We lost 3,000 people.
Jeb Bush defended his brother, saying this proves Trump isn't fit to be president.
It doesn't show that he's a serious person as it relates to being commander-in-chief and being the architect of a foreign policy.
Bush also followed with a new online campaign ad questioning Trump's judgment.
Since Jeb Bush first tweeted that Donald Trump was pathetic for his criticizing brother's coverage, Trump has tweeted or retweeted comments about Jeb 18 times.
18 times. So he's very much keeping Jeb in the conversation. I know that he's trying to disparage Jeb, but I don't know, maybe adds a little bit of legitimacy there. I also think it's interesting. I feel like this is the first big campaign where we've seen so much of it play out on Twitter. Like it looks like Kim Kardashian tweeting, you know, Miley Cyrus tweeting. This is like celebrities and their feuds on Twitter.
But you're almost expected to have something like that, to have an outlet to where you can reach out to people like that. But if you remember, President Obama only got his Twitter, maybe a year ago?
Right.
2 years ago, something like that. So I think that's just a sign of things to come, that everybody's going to be expected to be able to put their opinion out on social media.
Right, just completely unfiltered, or at least presumably, and in Trump's case. All right, early voting begins today for the November city and school board elections, as well as for several constitutional amendments. In Bryan, there are guaranteed to be 2 new council members on the 7-member board. 2 seats also up for a vote on Bryan's school board. In College Station, voters will decide on a $136.9 million bond, most of which pays for 3 new schools in the district. There is 1 contested school board race and another that is uncontested. 2 incumbents on the College Station City Council are unopposed. There are also 7 propositions for constitutional amendments. Election Day, November 3rd, but early voting has already begun. Now, Proposition 1, we're going to be taking a look here on First News at 4 at these propositions as we go on. So Proposition 1 is a property tax reduction, which would take away some of the taxes for some folks. It would lift that exemption up from $15,000 to $25,000.
Homeowners would be expected to save an average of $126 a year on property tax bills. Yeah,
so supporters of this amendment say it would give a much-needed tax relief to Texans, especially those being priced out of homes due to rising property values. But opponents say the measure would not help homeowners enough, and it would just leave out renters.
Critics also argue that the state is shifting spending rather than truly cutting taxes. The state has committed to covering the loss of this tax revenue to school districts with an estimated cost of $600 million annually. The amendment would also prohibit state officials from collecting taxes on real estate title transfers.
So a lot going on with these constitutional amendments. We'll be bringing you those updates. Hey, Amazon is going after people who reportedly sell fake reviews for products on its website.
The company says more than 1,000 people sold 5-star reviews through Fiverr.com. That's a website where odd jobs can be picked up for as little as $5. Amazon's policy bans fake product reviews, so the company sued those people for breach of contract and violating federal consumer laws on Friday. Fiverr says sellers solicit fake reviews everywhere, but its policy is that only the people who made a purchase can post a review.
So it's interesting. I know that at least, when I go to buy something on Amazon, I absolutely look at the product reviews. I'll look at those top few, and often that's how I make a decision, is based on those. And you know that some of them are fake. You know that there are, but Amazon is reaching out and saying we're not going to put up with it. what I also read that I think is interesting is that you have to have bought the item
in order to make a
but
review.
what they're doing is these people on Fiverr.com are saying, hey, just send me a blank envelope so there's a shipping history, and then I'll give you the review. So
Amazon sued several websites in April for selling false reviews. It said most of those sites have been shut down, and it described the new suit against individual reviewers as the next step in this process.
The next step, I guess they have to do something if they're going to stop this. So now that autumn is finally here, it feels a little bit more like it outside. We've got the smell of football tailgates. That's a good smell.
Yeah.
And crisp leaves. It's pumpkin spice lattes, as we always talk about. Like, you can't even go in a corner store without just being inundated by pumpkins. You got your candy corn, black cats, witch trinkets. Halloween, just 2 weeks away. We're in the thick of it.
That is the crazy part, I think. If you tell somebody that Halloween's just a couple of weeks away, that's crazy. Employees hosting Halloween parties or even permitting employees to wear costumes should implement policies that minimize potential problems arising from claims of racial, ethnic, or religious discrimination and or sexual harassment.
You got to be careful when you're picking out your work costume, maybe any costume, but especially for the workplace. So before that Halloween party, employers maybe just remind your employees of the company's sexual harassment and dress code policies, avoid any issues, reiterate that the party is still a work-related function, even though it feels like fun and maybe like after hours, but employees should act accordingly. Employers can also just remind their employees that a particular costume might be appropriate for a night out on the town. Go to Northgate in it, do what you want, but maybe when you come through the doors at work, just wear a different outfit. Wear your nun costume. Just wear something appropriate.
And Halloween has become a hotbed for racial insensitivity over the past several years. Accordingly, employers should prohibit these types of costumes from the workplace. No employee should ever be made to feel uncomfortable or unwelcome at their place of work, and workplace party policies, especially at Halloween. And one of my favorite methods approaching any sort of workplace costume is I just do what Jim from The Office does. Just a real simple one, like 3-hole punch Jim.
3-hole punch Jim was always a classic.
Or there was one episode where he even just had a name tag and he was Steve or something. He was Steve. The day. So
that's it. So that's all you have to do. And what you get to do is you get to watch an episode of The Office, which is always a big win. And then you get a great costume idea.
That's another thing I appreciate about the Halloween times too, is the Halloween episodes from all your favorite shows. And I got to throw out Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
I haven't seen it yet this season. So
really? You've gotten this far?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Got to watch it soon.
I can barely get back past October 1st without that movie. Hey, that's it for us right now. After the break, we have some fraternity brothers who are trying to make a difference on the Texas A&M campus. They're in-house with us. They're going to talk about that.
And we'll talk about some increasing rain chances, especially as we go towards the end of the week. That's right after the break. Stick with us.